Week 6 was a busy one, and with both Atlanta and Houston already booked in for Korea, it gave some other players a chance to shine. The Contenders Player of the Week is Spectra for the second week in a row, and it was really an easy choice. First, it had to be either a Dreamers or an O2 Blast player, and with Dreamers actually making their upset over the Charge, it just made sense. And second, he's probably the only flex DPS player in the entire season that can confidently say they got the better of Choice A1 in a match. Dreamers didn't even Mickey Mouse rush comp their way past the Charge. They straight up outworked them in the mirror matchups, and Spectra was a driving force of that. Finally, he was also the only sign of life in their devastating loss against the Spark. I'm very excited to see him continue to tear up the league next stage. We are in for a treat. The Rookie of the Week is Bliss, and not just because he had the most clutch, series clinching overtime play that I've ever seen from a main support, but also because he and JonBen have been in the trenches all season. When JonBen pulled out the Ramatra or the Junker Queen, you know Bliss is within arm's reach, speeding him around the map in a futile race against his own team. Sometimes he takes matters into his own hands, like on that same Esperanza where he clutched up. He was deadlifting halfway through the map and ended up with 40% of the final blows or something crazy like that. The first tank of the week is Danteh, because the Gladiator's bread and butter to try and gain the edge in these knockouts was Dante's Ramatra and his overall flexibility. At this point, it's relatively safe to say that he's the best Ramatra in the league on an individual level. Look at these stats that he pulled out down 2-0 in an elimination game, backs against the wall. This performance was massive to get the Gladiators back in the game mentally and give them a fighting chance for the remainder of the series. When it comes down to why the Gladiators lost either of their elimination games, I do not call into question Dante's Winston performance at all. He had some good white boy primals and he did his job well. The second tank of the week is JonBen, because he went down to the stables and selected a beaut of a stallion to bring home, sending Vancouver packing and putting up a fight against Florida in the process. Nobody else has done what he did on Overwatch 2 Orisa this weekend. Not only did he go off-roading on the horse, but he was making plays. While on the great skill equalizer, the Shock tank line has looked the best it has this entire season. Like, even though Florida knew what they were dealing with going into map 1, they didn't really know what they were dealing with until they experienced it firsthand. Now, it wasn't just the horse. His Winston was also a difference maker when he squared up against the Punky, but let's be for real, ain't no one bronking like that bucko. The Hitscan of the week is MN3, because he was completely dominant in Seoul's 4-0 sweep over Dallas, and unlike some other Hitscans that made Korea, he isn't responsible for the worst C9 of the season, didn't force Bastion for entire Koth rounds, and isn't completely reliant on gambling to pay his rent. He wholly gapped Edison on all fronts. Sombra, Ashe, Hanzo, it did not matter. There isn't too much more to say. This is just what we've come to expect from one of the absolute best damage players in APAC right now. The flex DPS of the week is Checkmate. He was a different type of beast on that final day. Throughout this season, Checkmate has just decided to take over entire lobbies on Tracer, and it just so happens one of those times came when they needed it most. Very few can go head to head in the Tracer duel with peak Kevin Overwatch and come out on top. But of course, Checkmate was far more than just a great Tracer. He continued to showcase his world-class flexibility. Whatever you needed, he has your back. His May was very solid this whole weekend, with his ice walls and blizzards being a huge part of Florida's signature full throttle rush style, and his ice blocks were the least troll of the weekend. God bless. When he was locking Genji, he didn't even want the nano boost and decided to raw dog his way through the enemy team. And then when he got a chance to echo mirror, he sang he sent bro home wishing he was out with Max to get the post-match Bonchon chicken. The bonus DPS of the week is Decay. He was a constant pest in the Washington and LA backlines. He bailed out Boston multiple times while birdring was over being a silly little guy on Bastion, and he wants this. You can tell he needs this. He's completely in sync with Smurf and ready for Twilight to land a fat nade every fight, but he also doesn't need them at all and is down to just ravage the enemy team all by himself. His May was decent enough, which I'll take because a lot of the May play was not super impressive this weekend, but anyway, he was getting more value running it down on Tracer, so who cares. The flex support of the week is Twilight. This guy might have had the best Ana weekend of the season. Every single fight, he was landing a massive nade, setting up the entire operation. On top of that, he never got punished for making a play because he doesn't compromise his positioning much at all. In fact, I'm convinced he can fade through walls at will because these nade angles are downright spiritual. And even if the enemy somehow made it onto him, he keeps the sleep dart strapped. It's tough to explain how crucial Twilight was to Boston's success and how what he does differs from Shu and Fielder. He's like a mid-ground, but he also brings his own specific swag to the lobby. Whatever it is, we will see more of it in the mid-season madness because Twilight is a man possessed right now. The main support of the week is Chorong. He's just so Chad about how he plays the game. I do not care if bro is bashing into the enemy 1v9 on Brig. I see the vision there. I get it. But in general, he was constantly making plays, whether it's booping guys in the blizzard, being a menace on the brig, or having a Kiriko that will save main supports from the no aim accusations. The micro play in his game is so impressive, and if we ever get a replay viewer again, the first thing everyone should do is watch how this guy plays the game. What we see is just the tip of the iceberg, and this iceberg goes all the way to hell. The bonus support of the week is Funny Astro, and yes, this is a rare double main support all-star team. I don't know if it's because Twilight just broke what a great week looks like on flex support, or if Astro and Chorong are just the chosen ones. In Glads vs Mayhem matches, these two were going blow for blow to make great plays every fight, which eventually resulted in Astro ajaxing Chorong, and there's just no coming back from that. So even though I did give Chorong the higher honor, Astro maybe came out on top in the end. With that said, he ain't the one going to Korea, so who really got the last laugh? This week had a lot of ups and downs, which made it tough to decide on some of these spots, so let me know who I snubbed in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe if you like this video for more Overwatch League content. Have yourself a good one. Deuces.